Hey guys, what's up? I just got done with an interview. I had this dude. He worked on an oil rig and seafood processing boat. He also worked as a tender. If you don't know what that is, we talk about that too in the video. But we're just talking about the job, how to get into it. A lot of good information. So if you're interested in working on an oil field, or if you're interested in working on a boat catching crab, I think this video has like a lot of good information, and you'll like it. I also want to point out it was kind of, I'm keeping this guy a secret. I'm not going to say his name because I'm hated on Facebook because I made that Peter Pan video. Exposing all the bad stuff that happened to them. We talk about that too a little bit, about how big companies are not as good as like mom and pop seafood processing plants. But yeah, I'm hated because it's just a bunch of old white guys, really really old white guys who've been doing it for a long time. They're the generations of they put up with a lot of bullshit when they don't have to, and we're the generation of we don't do bullshit because we know there's like a whole bunch, a shitload of more options. So we really really class on that aspect because again, there's like old white guys that had to experience racism before, but I promise you they would be pissed if they went to a seafood processing plant and weren't getting hours and only making $1,000 a month if they just because they weren't Filipino. So, and I also want to point this out too. Not all Filipinos are like that. Just the people at Peter Pan, when I was there, they definitely were. That's just how they acted when I was at Peter Pan in King Cove. Things might have changed, but honestly, I highly, highly doubt it. But I'm talking a lot now. Let's just get right into the video.
Huh? Huh?
Hey, how you doing?
What did you say?
Can you hear me okay?
Text me when I will, okay, bye. Hello, okay. Yeah,
So, are you okay with putting this conversation up on YouTube?
yeah, I don't mind.
Okay. So you worked in both.
Hold on, I'm about to. Hold on, I'm getting into the car. Let me put you on the car speaker.
Yeah, no problem.
Hello?
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So you worked in both seafood processing and on the oil rig.
Yeah, I've worked cannery, I've worked subtender, pot fish, done a couple of things in commercial fishing world.
And which do you prefer more, like seafood processing, or you prefer oil? Like, which pays more? What's more work? Can you tell us about it?
Dude, honestly, the work is hard for both. There's no denying that, but you're not gonna make it rich in the cannery, even if you work your way up. If you get on a good fishing boat, a seiner, or if you can crab fish or codfish, you can make some real fucking money. Especially you work your way up engineer and whatnot, you're gonna make some good money if you get with a good operation. Oil field is, there's more rules, there's more politics, and as a floor hand, entry level helper, you'll make good money. But if you work in the long run, if you work your way up in the oil field, you'll be better off in 30 years than in the commercial fishing industry because it's more. There's more job security. It's more professional. It's more structured.
Yeah. And I don't know if you saw this, but there's like a lot of people in this seafood processing Facebook group that don't like me because on my channel I tell that exactly how it is. And when I was at Peter Pan, I called Peter Pan out for, the Filipino managers. They refused to give anyone else besides Filipinos hours for a while. And everyone thought I was complaining about it. And I am complaining because no one's getting money. There was a week when everyone only got like $1,000 on the paycheck.
Please wait. Your call is being connected.
Oh no. Sorry, my Wi-Fi is bad. I broke out there for
Hello?
a second. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I lost you for a second. Nah.
Yeah, that was my fault. That's my Wi-Fi. Ever since I went to Alaska, I never got like a phone number because. All right.
Hello?
Sorry about that. That was my Wi-Fi. Ever since I went to Alaska, I never got like a phone number. So are you working in the oil field right now?
No, I worked in the oil field before I worked commercial fishing.
Why did you transfer over? Like you said oil rigs have more opportunities, right?
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of got tired of it, and I just always wanted to commercial fish since young. I was watching Deadliest Catch when I was like 8 years old, I just wanted to try it out, and I have leads to the oil field I can get back in, today. But there's more opportunities in the oil field if you're willing to work and if you're willing to learn. And, you become foreman and fucking rig supervisor, and you're going to make some stupid money, and you're going to have a good job for the rest of your life. You'll never have trouble finding work in the oil field, but same thing with commercial fishing. You'll never have trouble finding work if you're a good worker.
And you keep saying stupid money. Like, what are we looking at? What's someone who's never done it before in the oil field looking at?
I mean, if you're entry level and you can start out as a tank cleaner, like bottom of the barrel, cleaning tanks or something with chemicals and shit, you might make $14, $15 an hour. That's not the greatest. But if you're willing to work your way up, I mean, when I did it, I was a rigger. I wasn't even a certified rigger, and I was making 24. You get your certificate. Every company's different. Every rig's different. You get your certificate, you're up to 32. And, it takes a year or two to get your certificate, whatever. But as a floor hand and whatnot, with all the overtime and per diem, I mean, you could probably pull close to $2,000 a week, entry level. If entry level, $1,500, $2,000 a week. I'd say that's like a rough estimate. I couldn't give you exact numbers, but
yeah, that's fine. But what are the hours like? Is it kind of like working on a boat, where it's just 12 hours a day?
I was working 7-12. Well, I was working 2 weeks on, 1 week off, and then I was working 28 days on, and then 2 weeks off. Those are the most common schedules in the oil field: 2 weeks on, 1 week off, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, or 1 month on, 2 weeks home. And you don't really get to pick. Sometimes you get to pick, but really it's up to the company what they need. And when I was on the boat, I mean, if you're fishing, you're working 16, 18, maybe 20 hours a day, or if you're tendering, same shit. You're always on call when you're commercial fishing. In the oil field, you're on shift. You have a night shift, day shift. You clock in, you clock out. You don't do that on fishing boats. You're always clocked in.
Yeah, and you get like a day pay rate, right?
Well, if you're tendering, you get a day rate. If you're fishing, you'll get a crew share. But if you've never fished before and you get on a crab boat nowadays, a lot of captains are giving their hands. Hold on, one sec. A lot of captains are giving their greenhorns a day rate, maybe $250 a day, to go pot fishing, crab fishing, and that's just you prove yourself. You do a season of that and you do good, you'll get a cruise share and you'll fucking make buku money. Once you're on a cruise share, you'll make really good money, but you got to work for it. You got to prove yourself, you know? It's not going to come to you.
And real quick, for people who don't know, what's tendering?
Tendering is pretty much, you have your fishing boats that catch the fish, and the tenders will take the fish from the fishermen and bring it back to the cannery. It's pretty much just to avoid the fishermen coming in. You have 100 fishing boats for this cannery, and you have, say, 8 tenders. It's going to be a lot more mess to have the fishermen come into town. You know, it's easier to just have a boat that does that work for you.
All right. And I got some more questions. How, like, going back to the oil rig, we'll do working on a boat later, but going back to the oil rig, how would someone get into that? Because my channel is geared for people, like, in low-income areas. So how would someone with, like, no experience just get right into the oil rig?
Man, you just gotta apply. You gotta network, apply to everything. Look for all these big companies that run these oil rigs. Apply to every position, whether you think you're qualified or not. Try to stand out. Try to get a hold of the recruiting manager, the hiring manager. Give them a call. Hey, man, did you get my application? You know, can I get an interview? You have to stand out from the rest of the people, because anybody can just put an application in with no experience. But you have to stand out if you want to get that call.
Do you have a recommendation for any companies?
Chevron, Exxon, they're really good. It just depends if you're on production or if you're doing construction. There's a million construction companies, contracting companies, but I mean your biggest companies, BP, Chevron, Phillips, Exxon Mobil, Fieldwood, Quarter North. I don't know if they run rigs in Alaska, but there's plenty of companies.
Right.
It might take 100 applications to get one call, but you gotta keep applying. Just keep applying, keep applying, keep applying. Don't stop.
All right. And now going back to the boat, how did you get your job on the boat?
So I started out, personally, I was in the cannery, and then the fleet manager of the cannery, like I said, I stood out. I went above and beyond, and he offered me a job on his tender. And once you get a season under your belt on a tender, the opportunities are endless. Like, everybody wants to work on a boat, but processing experience, it's better than no experience. But once you get on a boat, it's a lot easier to get on another boat. And you just have to stand out. Like I said, getting into the oil field, you just do things that other people don't do.
So if you're someone who did your processing before, do you think it's pretty easy to get the job as a tender?
It's easier, but they're not going to just be like, oh, wow, you've processed and now come to my boat. The best way is to walk the docks. I know you were in King Cove. I don't know how I've never been in King Cove, but
yeah, King Cove is kind of different. They told all the fishermen, hey, don't ask our people for to be on the boat. If you get on our boat, then you can't. We're not going to pay for you. But there's still people who did it because they paid a lot more than that King Cove.
Yeah. I mean, Valdez, Cordova, and Kodiak, I mean, it's hard to tell somebody to buy a $500 plane ticket when they don't even know if they have a job yet. But fucking go to the cannery and walk the docks when your time off at the cannery and just, hey, I'm at the cannery right now. I'd like an opportunity on a boat.
So how risky do you think it would how risky do you think it would be for someone to just buy a plane ticket and then go out and do it?
I mean, if you have the money, if you have $1,000 that you could throw away for a flight there and back, if you don't find a job, if that's the risk you're willing to take, by all means go for it. But me personally, I wouldn't do it. But I mean, even if you want to be cheap and catch a Greyhound bus to Seattle and then fly from there, that'll save you a little bit of money. It's just, I mean, you'll be homeless in Alaska until you get on a boat, you know?
Yeah.
you can find a boat at the airport. You can network at the airport and find a boat there, or you could find a boat a week later. I mean, it's a risk I'm not going to take. It's a risk I would not take personally, but I'm not going to tell somebody else not to because it works.
Yeah, have you only done seafood jobs in like Alaska, or have you been to the East Coast too?
I never have. I want to, but most of those jobs are like day boats. Like you can't sleep on the boat. You know, lobster fishing, you don't live on the boat. You go home every day. I've only done it in Alaska.
Yeah. That's another thing with my channel too. People are looking for cheap housing and free food. And
it's there.
What do you eat on the boat? Now that I think about it, because you're out on the boat for like weeks at a time, right?
Yeah. Well, I started out tendering, and then I did some gill netting, and I've tendered. You know, you have your gill net tenders, and then you have your seine tenders. I've done both. I've fished for tanner crab.
Can you elaborate on that between the gill thing and that one?
So a gill net tender, so the gill netters, they're small boats, maybe 30, 40 feet, and they catch their fish with the gill nets. They don't catch as much fish as seiners, obviously, but it's a one-man crew. You can do it by yourself. And the tendering process is the fisherman, it's his job to sort the fish and put them in bags. So when you're gill net tendering, all you do is use the crane to pick up the bag, and then you dump it in a weigh box. You weigh the fish out, you write it down, and then you push it into the fish hold. It's super easy. But seine tendering, you're sucking out tens of thousands of pounds of salmon, anywhere like maybe 10 to 40,000 pounds, 50,000 pounds on an average day. And you have to sort by the species, you know, ray, your sockeyes, chums, everything. You have to sort it. And that can be a big, you know, pitching fish, throwing fish for an hour or two without stopping. I mean, but gill net tendering is a lot easier. You're not going to make as much money on a gill net tender as you will a seine tender, but I mean, a boat is a boat. It doesn't matter if you're just cleaning toilets on the boat. You know, a boat job is a boat job.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So one last thing, and that will be it. Like anyone who wants to like get into, do you have anything you want to say to anyone who wants to get into, you know, getting on a boat or getting into the oil rig right now?
Man, work hard, stand out. A lot of people can work hard, but not everybody's willing to take that extra step to stick out. And I mean, but it's all about your attitude. Hard work is hard work, but your attitude is going to make you or break you. Whether you want to stand there for 16 hours straight cutting heads off the fish, it's mental. There's days you're going to go crazy, and you're going to, why the fuck am I doing this, you know? But you can make some money, and it's a good experience. Just getting out there, seeing Alaska, seeing how life is over there. It's just a great experience, and whether the money's good or not, I mean, it'll change your life, that experience. At least it did for me personally.
I'm not going to lie, it did for me too. Like I loved it in Alaska. I just didn't like the company I was working for. But thanks, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of good companies out there, and your bigger companies like Trident and Peter Pan, they're gonna have more politics, and they're gonna, you know, work you harder, whatever. But you get on with the smaller cannery that only has, you know, Copper River Seafoods, or they only have a few plants in Alaska. These smaller companies, I've always heard they're a lot better to work for. And I can tell you they're a lot better to tender for, too. I tendered for Trident, and I'm not going to say too much bad things about Trident, but, yeah, Trident can be a bitch to work for.
What made, do you want to talk about it, or is that something you don't want to get into?
Well, it's nothing like really happened. It's just there's so much going on. They have so much to manage, and it's just a lot going on with these bigger companies where they can't hold your hand, or they might not pick up the phone when you call them. Meanwhile, these other canneries, they're more involved because they're running a you know, not as large operation, and Trident's not a bad company. They haven't done me wrong personally, but they have a bigger workload. They're busier. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like when I was in King Co, everyone kept telling me, yeah, I'm not coming back. I'm just going to go back to Trident. And everyone was just like saying how great Trident was the whole time.
All the cannery workers I met from Trident, they've always seemed pretty happy. I haven't really heard. I've heard a lot of bad about Peter Pan, but not Trident. Yeah.
And it's funny, like a lot of people from the Facebook group hate me because I'm one of those people who talk bad about Peter Pan. But I think if they were there, they would understand. But thanks, man, for taking the time to talking with me, and thanks for sharing your insight on both like the oil rig and the seafood processing and boats. That it's really helpful for a lot of people. And
I hope I can. Even if I help one person, I'm happy.
Yeah. Anyways, have a good one, man. Thanks again.
Yes, sir.
Out there. Oh, I almost forgot. This is one very important question. I'm sorry about that. How dangerous is it to work on the boat?
Well, tendering and seining and gill netting is not too dangerous because that's summertime. The weather's a lot better in the summer. But crab fishing and pot fishing, for cods, or even if you're long lining in the Bering Sea, it's fucking dangerous, dude. You gotta have your head on a swivel. Don't do anything stupid. Just focus, pay attention.
Yeah, that's my next question.
All right, but
that was going to be my next question because there's like a lot of horror stories about people just like getting swept off to sea and never seen again. So does that only happen if you do something stupid, or can that happen to anybody?
Well, you have situations like the Scandies Rose or these big boats that are good crews that just, they just sink or a wave just hits them wrong. But at the end of the day, it's hard to sink or capsize your boat if you're doing everything right. If you're doing everything right from a captain standpoint, it's very rare for the weather to just take over. But it happens.
Yeah.
But there's one story, when I was tendering, there was a seiner, and everyone on the seiner, even the captain, they were like on crack or meth, and they started sinking. So we had to go, and we saved them. And they were like starting to sink, but not too bad. Well, their RSW, their fish hold was very they were doing a lot of things wrong. So our engineer, he was able to fix the problem real quick, and we had to tow that boat back to town, and that happened because everybody in the crew was drunk and on crack. You don't want to work for a captain that drinks. It's just going to cause problems.
All right, so that leads to another question. How do you decide which boat to pick so you don't end up in that situation where everyone's on crack, everyone's drinking all the time?
I mean, you just got to use your common sense and it's hard to tell because most people are going to take the first boat job that they get offered. And I'm not saying you shouldn't, but just be smart about it. I mean, if you meet your captain at a bar and he's fucked up, that might not be a good sign,
Yeah, and there's a lot of drinking in this industry too. You kind of have to stay sane.
Yeah.
All right. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Not really. I mean, to anyone wanting to get out there, all I can tell you without making it long is work hard, be different, and most importantly, stay out of trouble because you will get into some trouble in Alaska if you let yourself. It's easy. Don't ask me how I know, but it's easy.
All right, man. Thanks so much. Stay safe out there on the sea, and I'll send you a message on the video if you want to see it.
Okay, cool.
All right. Thanks, man. Have a good one.
Yes, sir. You too.
check out these fresh greens I got for you.
I know my friend from work asked me to look after their hamster, but the team here... Yeah, we can't keep this little guy here.
A hamster? Look at these cute